Hey everyone, I thought I would do a tour of my new crafting and sewing and quilting space. As some of you know, when I moved into my new house, I started remodeling the basement in order to make it sort of my dream crafting space. And it's mostly finished, all the remodeling's done, and most of the organization and stuff is done, but I still have a little bit to do, but it's definitely ready to sort of be functional and used. So I'm excited to give you a tour. Okay, so behind me is the staircase that leads down into the basement. That leads up to my kitchen and my living room. And kind of over my left shoulder is sort of the main crafting space. But when you come down to the bottom of the stairs, to the right is another room, and that's where we're gonna start. Oh, and this video is probably going to be a little bit long because I'm excited, and it's mostly for my crafting and my sewing and quilting friends, because I'm going to talk about space and organization and lighting and all that good stuff, and sort of why I did what I did. So this room existed, and I didn't do any remodeling in this room because this is my room for my long arm. And it's kind of one of the reasons, well, it was one of the reasons I was really interested in this house was a basement space that was big enough to have a separate area for my long arm that was still close to, where I was going to be crafting and working, but I could close a door and I wouldn't necessarily need to hear the long arm if it was running, because I have a long arm that has computerization, so I can kind of set it and it will quilt on its own. But I also don't necessarily want to be very far away from it in case something happens. I can kind of, hear that it stopped or whatever. So this was perfect. The door, when it's closed, I can barely hear the long arm running, and if I have like the TV on or something, I really don't hear it at all, which is perfect. That's kind of really what I wanted. But this space itself is really just for the long arm. So you can see I have my long arm over here, and then there's some shelving in the back, and that this thread organizer is a new purchase from Etsy, which I really love. And then kind of over in the corner over here, I have some of my long arm supplies. So just like the stuff I use frequently, this is my bobbin winder. And then I traditionally, if I'm just quilting kind of how I normally quilt, I use Superior Threads bottom line in my bobbin, and then Omni in the top thread. So this is all of my bottom line bobbin thread over here. And then the stuff I use for my long arm, like the oil, extra bobbins, if I'm working on a quilt, like, a defuzzer, pet rollers to, remove lint and extra threads, spray air to clean out the bobbin case. I know some people don't like that, but I do it. And then over here, just some more organizational stuff. Again, get a little closer to my thread over here, which is really cool. So all my Omni thread is stored up here. And then down here, I have some other threads that are specially, so I have some metallics that I use occasionally. I have a series of King Tut threads that are multicolored that I have used for some art quilting. And then I have a little bit of a Novatech thread down here that I use occasionally. And this is some clear thread, one in clear and one in smoke. And then these are micro quilter threads. Over here, not so much long arm stuff, although there's a little, my rulers are over here. I do have some other thread storage for regular sewing, and long arm books. All of my long arm books for quilting long arm and stuff like that is over here. And then a little bit of decorative stuff. And then my long arm, and I do have a closet that's in the back, which I need to do a little bit of organizing in, so I won't open it. It's a little bit messy right now. But that's where my batting is stored. All my batting is in there. Right now I have some other crafting stuff in there I need to just reorganize, and we'll probably move to another storage area, which I'll show you in a little bit. But it's basically kind of a standard, you know, closet that you would have in a bedroom with shelving in it. But that's great because I really enjoy having it for batting storage. So, okay, so this is the long arm room. The only issue I have in here is lighting. So this is really the only overhead light. It's the only light in the room, actually. But you can see I have here, I have lights that I usually use on the side, and the Anova, or this Anova at least, has LED lights that encircle the needle shaft here. So it is super bright right where I'm quilting. So I've never had an issue with like light when I'm quilting, even in my old space, which was in a basement and had overhead lighting, a little bit better than this, but not a whole lot. I've never really needed extra light, but I can always do some other, you know, if I need to add more overhead light here. It's a drop ceiling, you know, I could probably do it myself, so we'll see how it goes. So far it hasn't really been an issue. Okay, so that's the long arm room. So then we're gonna head back out to where we just were. So again, you can see the stairs. That's where we came down, and then this is the main space. Let's see if I can get that. Okay. I had remodeling done in here that I paid somebody to do. So it's all new flooring. There was a drop ceiling in here as well, which I had removed and did a drywall ceiling. I did all new lighting, had the walls repainted, and then there's a space kind of around to the left here, I'll show you in a second, that I had added as new, like a new, it was an unfinished space prior to the remodel, so I had some of that finished. But otherwise, kind of what you see here, this big long space was finished. It was just, you know, painted and had carpet and a drop ceiling, and I just redid all that stuff. So when I designed this, though, I really was thinking of kind of 3 different stations, or 3 different areas. In my old house, I had put away a lot of my other crafting stuff. I've done tons of crafts besides quilting, and I put a bunch of it away really because I was focusing on sewing and quilting, and so I really didn't access it very much, and I wanted a space where I could still do those things because I do like them, but I just wasn't really doing them because everything was away and it was kind of an issue to go get everything. So we'll walk through them as we go through, but kind of in the back is sort of like general crafting, and I'll walk through some of that stuff. The middle section here is sewing, and then this other space that's right here is empty at the moment. That door leads to the outside, to some Bilko doors that then eventually goes out. But this space that's right here is kind of empty at the moment. And my plan eventually, I think, is I'm gonna put some just like comfortable seating over here, maybe a comfy chair if I wanna do some like handwork and watch TV, or have some friends over. I don't know exactly what I'm gonna put here yet. This door, I will probably never use now that everything's in here. So I could put stuff in the front of here, but I'm just gonna live in this space for a little while and see how I use it before I do anything. But that's kind of the third space I had planned, or the third area. And then each of them I have on dimmers so that I can kind of, you know, turn one up or down or completely off if I want to. Each of the different kind of spaces has its own lighting. So that's really super helpful. I did a lot of lighting when I was working with the lighting guy. He was like, this is a lot of lights for this space. And I was like, I would really rather have, you know, way too many and be able to either dim them or turn them off than have too few, because I like a ton of light when I'm working and crafting. So, okay, so that's the one area. Let's go over to the second one, which is my sewing area. Okay, so kind of get a good space over here. So this is a new desk, and it's a good height, so I can sew right here, and then I have this sort of lazy Susan with a whole bunch of stuff that I reach for on a regular basis, like scissors and seam rippers and rulers that I use all the time, like all that kind of stuff. I do have some storage also, so I have a drawer here, and I have some under counter storage here, as well as these were existing IKEA pieces that I had, so I just sort of stuck them on the end, which gives me more space, but it also gives me more storage. And how I sort of plan to use it is, if I'm not doing big cutting and pressing, which I have kind of the station behind me, then I have a small cutting mat here, and my small wool pressing mats, which I don't know where I put now. They're around here somewhere. Oh well, okay. But I have a small wool pressing mat that can go here. So if I'm just doing some small amount of cutting or working on small piecing, things like that, I can actually cut and iron right here. I have additional overhead or additional task lighting. If I need to, get more light here down close, I can move these things around. They're very handy that way. And then I have this big table over here. Now this is just a 6-foot folding table. And I thought about getting kind of a more, nice table. But again, I want to live with this a little bit. I was going to get a kind of smaller table, but I think I really like having both the cutting mat out and a big pressing mat out at the same time. So I don't have to switch them back and forth if I had a smaller table. So I think I'm going to stick with something like this. And then I also have some carts down here for some additional storage or projects that I'm kind of currently working on. But if I want to get them out of the way, I have boxes, that I can store things in and then just move them under the table so they're out of the way. And then since I like to kind of watch TV when I'm sewing, then over here, right across from my sewing station is a TV, which is really nice. So then the third station over here is kind of general crafting. Now this table was an IKEA table, but I had it previously. And I think it looks great in the space. I don't think they make this top anymore from IKEA, but the bases I know you can get. So I just really like having a nice big open workspace. That's really all this was intended for. The bookshelves behind me are IKEA, and you can see some of them aren't really full, but I added some additional storage kind of along the top. So I have these blue bins and then these gray bins, which I think look really nice. And I've gotten out my label maker, so I'm labeling everything. But these are nice open bins. So this is all adhesives, right? So if I need to look for, I can just grab this and put it next to me while I'm crafting, look for the glue I want. And then these are ones with lids. So these were things that I use less often, but still wanted storage, and they fit really, really nice kind of up here together. You can see these are all kind of empty at the moment, but there's lots of good drawer space, so I have lots of room to expand. And again, I have some stuff to sort of organize and still do, but when I originally was thinking about this space back here, I was going to do a 5th bookshelf, but I decided to do just the 4 and then added this workstation. And I'm glad I did, because I've used it a few times already, and it has my computer at it. So if I need to do, look something up on the internet or whatever, I can come over here. And then these are from IKEA. Also, they're called the lack shelf. So they fit really perfectly between, the bookcases. So it kind of almost gives the impression of built-in. So these are not the Billy bookcase, which is super popular at IKEA, but these are the, oh darn, it's not the Jimenez, it's the other one. It's the Briniz, I think is what it's called. But they weren't really difficult to put together. And they weren't, like most IKEA stuff, not super expensive. So this was an internet buy, but just a simple desk, nice clean lines, a drawer for some storage. And that's really just what I wanted, a nice little kind of workstation if I actually just need to, do some smaller kinds of things or work on the computer. Just to go through some stuff over here, this is like sewing, these are all bag patterns or small patterns or quilt patterns that I haven't either, that I want to work on or I haven't worked on or I've made already, things like that. There's all a bunch of patterns over there. You can see I have up top just some decorations, some crafting things I've done before, some quilt awards. Oh, my cards fell down over here. And then over here, again, some more storage. This side is a little bit more full, but so some polymer clay stuff I've done, worked on before. I used to really be big into paper crafting, so I have lots of, these are all Stampin' Up stamps and dies, and this is all stamps and dies from a company called Heartfelt Creations, some alcohol markers, a die cutting machine. This is for baking polymer clay, and then again, some additional storage of things. Over here, these are pieces that I had previously. These are IKEA pieces also, these big white ones. Down here, this little one, I have some jewelry kind of beading storage, things like that. But these pieces I had previously, and they hold lots of paper crafting stuff, so paper, and then there's a whole bunch of other die, oops, let's see here, sort of stamps organized in these clear containers, which are from the Container Store, and then organized by sort of category. There are stamps, and then I have dies down here, and then down at the very bottom, I have things like embossing powders and embellishments for cards and card making things and sequins and all that kind of stuff for paper crafting. So I really like these cabinets, and these storage boxes were sort of perfect for stamps and dies. The blue and gray ones at the top there are also from the Container Store. Okay, and then this is another little piece I had previously that has some inks and some, again, paper crafting stuff, some glitters and things like that, and an ink caddy for stamping up inks. I have a whole bunch of inks from different companies, but this one is all Stampin' Up. So this is the space that was previously unfinished, and I had them add on, and when I was designing this space, I actually designed it specifically so I could get 2 IKEA Calyx units, which is what you have here side by side. And the Calyx units are just little, cubbies. That's all. But they also sell things that you can put in the cubbies, so like these metal bins. So I bought a couple of different inserts for some different things. So let me get a little closer here. Okay, so the first one over here, you can buy these inserts that gives each cubby 5 different flat storage areas. So that was perfect for paper storage. So the first whole row here is for different kinds of paper and cardstock, and there's some other things in here like felt and vellum and some chipboard kind of pieces, but again, all for basically paper crafting. But it was perfect. Those inserts were perfect for paper storage. And then at the very top, the whole top row, you can see they have these sort of X dividers, which was perfect for yarn. So I put all of my yarn here, kind of did a rainbow kind of storage. So red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. Then there's like neutral, tan, brown. Then there's some white, black, gray. And then, kind of at the end, there's like some rainbow and some metallic, some other stuff here. For fabric storage, these 2 rows with the metal bins are all fabric. And the way I've organized my fabric is, again, sort of rainbow. So red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. Down here is kind of taupe or brown, and then white, and then black and gray down here at the bottom. But each one has solids on the top of whatever that color is, and then patterns on the bottom, again, whatever that color is. So it was a really handy way to organize everything. Then the bottom 2 rows are sort of various things. Again, all pretty much fabric, but down here are some bins that I have projects that are in progress. These 3 cubbies are all fat quarter bundles, which I have a problem. I just kept pulling out more and more fat quarter bundles, and I really, I need to stop and I need to use some of them. Then I have some project kits, some jelly rolls. I have a cubby for sashiko stuff. And then over here is sort of various groups of fabrics. So like, these are all really big pieces down here at the very end, like more than 5 yards. I have a whole cubby here of linen. I have a whole cubby of layer cakes. I have a box of cat fabric and holiday fabric. And then down here, I have a couple of bins. This bin is for silk, and then this bin is for hand-dyed stuff. And then this piece over here, this is also an existing piece I had. Again, I think it's IKEA. But this whole cabinet is really about embroidery. So there's embroidery floss, there's embroidery kits, there's metallic threads, there's beading and different kinds of needles. I should say the top portion. The bottom portion is more paper crafting stuff. Oh no, this is embroidery. This one is paper crafting. This is punches. So paper punches, which I don't use that much, but anymore, so. Okay, and then I have sort of what I call the backstage storage. So these are unfinished areas. We'll go to this door in the back here. So behind here is like my water softener and the water heater, but there's also a bookcase that the former owners left. So I use this for books, magazines, stuff that I don't really refer to often, anything like that, but it was great. It was perfect for all the books and magazines and stuff I have. So, and then this other door here. So behind here, to this side is my heater, but there's another room that the previous owner, I believe he did custom surfboards. So this was the room I think he used for that, but I basically just sort of cleaned it out and turned it into more storage. So I'll get in here if I can. So this is what I call like the backstage storage. So just stuff I don't really, you know, use more frequently or whatever. But it was great. It has tons of space in here. I got all of these black shelves from Lowe's, and I still have a ton of space I can use. In fact, some of this stuff I probably should have like gotten rid of when I moved and purged, but it sort of moved with me. So some of this stuff I may eventually get rid of, but there's a bunch of like fabrics I don't use very often. Like there's a whole bunch of canvas, metallic fabrics. There's a box of feed sack stuff, which I like to do a project with eventually, but this is all like wool felt for applique. These are all fusibles or interfacing. There's some faux fur and other kinds of like iron-on fusible stuff here, denim. These are all like random fabrics like knits and weird, you know, lining for garments. There's some fleece up here, some minky, right? All kinds of different stuff. And then back here is more like other crafting stuff. So more paper crafting, all kinds of other stuff. My Go cutter, which I think I would eventually like to move out front. So I may move it under that table so I could have it more accessible. But for right now, the Go cutter and the dies are all here. And then just lots of other crafting stuff, painting and stamping and resin and acrylic molds and all that good stuff. So, but yeah, this space was great just to have, again, like kind of extra additional storage that is sort of, you know, off, but still close by. So, okay. Well, that's it. That's the tour of my new craft room. I hope you liked it. And I'm super excited that it is finally in place, and I haven't had my like creative space in months because of, just taking care of my dad and then getting ready to move and then doing the remodeling. So I have not had like the ability to sew and do stuff in an organized way, and I'm just super excited to have the space ready. Like I said, a few more things to do. I don't have any stuff on the walls. Oh, for my quilters, you know, because I know somebody's gonna ask, I'm thinking about a design wall. I don't know that I'm a design wall person, but I certainly have the space to do it. But again, I think I'm gonna live and work in this space a little bit before I decide on anything kind of permanent yet. But I am thinking about a design wall somewhere, so. Okay, that's it. I hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching if you stuck by this whole time, and have a great day. Bye.